All right, good morning. My name is Jeff Warrock here at the National Weather Service. Harry's going to be following me up with the marine side of the briefing. I'm going to hit on the front end of this with the winter weather. I'm kind of split this up into two. There really hasn't been a lot of changes. We're trying to fine tune the forecast, and we're going to continue to fine tune the forecast later, I'd say today and even into tomorrow morning, to try to get an idea of exactly how the snow is going to play out. You can see the winter storm watch that's in effect for really a broad part of the area. It does include Northeast North Carolina, where I think things are a little bit more questionable down there. Maybe some quick snow, get a few inches, maybe a couple inches, and then it kind of starts to mix with a little bit of sleet and rain. Better chances, I think, for better snow accumulation as we push up into parts of Hampton Roads. I'd say kind of that Norfolk back to Franklin kind of line there and south of Emporia, getting down towards maybe Lake Gaston. That may be the line from there north where we start to see maybe a little better snow banding. And that line somewhere, I'd say, from Norfolk, Franklin, and Lake Gaston. And the northern edge of it, probably somewhere, I'd say south of Farmville, maybe up towards Petersburg, north of Williamsburg, and out towards Accomack. Somewhere in that zone, we're going to see some better accumulations where maybe the snow kind of locks in. So we'll talk about that. But we have put everybody in a winter storm watch just to kind of get the information out there, make folks aware that some snow's coming. It's just a matter of who gets how much and where. I'm not about to read this slide to you guys. It's just a quick summary slide. It's in our briefing package, so you can go through that. One of the things that we're dealing with, there's just some pros to this system. One of the pros is, and I'll step through the weather map here for you guys so you can kind of see what's going on. It's moving really fast. And so, this is not one of those nor'easters. I'm going to start here at Friday morning. This is not one of those nor'easters that, comes up the coast, it intensifies and slows down, and the thing's here for, 24 hours. This is a really quick moving system. So this is Friday morning with the storm system coming across the northern Gulf of Mexico, and we're still dry. By Friday evening, it's kind of getting into parts of maybe western Florida. The system is, and you see that snow starting to spread really pretty far north across the Commonwealth and across our area by Friday evening. And then by the time you get to Friday morning, this system's already up along our coast. So in 12-hour time frame, it's going from here at 7 p.m. along Florida coastline to all of a sudden up off of Hatteras by 7 a.m. And this thing, it's going to continue, clipping right on out to sea. So we have a kind of a small window of opportunity here to get some decent snowfall. And it has to accumulate within that, let's say, 8-hour window. And whatever snow we get in that 8-hour window is all we're going to get. So that's a good news as far as not getting really high totals, is the fact that the system, it is moving so fast. As far as areas that are going to be the most impacted, we kind of mentioned this earlier, kind of outlining this area here, that this is probably where we're going to see maybe that those bands set up, or maybe where you have a sweet spot, of maybe upwards of 4 or 5 inches of snow, kind of somewhere in here. It won't be this big of an area, 4 to 5 inches, but it's somewhere in there. And I would probably pull this line to say more south of Richmond, maybe Petersburg south. We're kind of trying to fine tune that somewhere between, I'd say, Norfolk and Petersburg to include the peninsula and back towards Emporia. So we already hit the watch. This is our accumulations as of right now. And so, we keep trying to fine tune this, so this 3 to 4 might drop a little bit further south and start to get into maybe, just north of Franklin, and maybe start to graze Norfolk. We've got Norfolk at 2 to 3 and Hampton at 3 to 4. So you can kind of split hairs there. So, somewhere right along Norfolk, like I said, to Franklin north is where we're probably going to see this little area of 3 to 4. And that 3 to 4 might extend up to just the south side of Richmond and maybe south of Farmville and Accomack. And somewhere in there, I'll kind of go to the next slide. Somewhere in there, we could see 4 to 5 inches. Right now, we wouldn't be shocked if somebody said, hey, I got 6 inches of snow. I'm not sure. We're not expecting like widespread 6 inches, but 3 to 4 inches with some reports of 5, I think is definitely reasonable right now. We wouldn't be totally shocked again if somebody said, hey, I got 6 inches of snow at my house. I don't think you're going to see that much snow everywhere, but it's potential. But I kind of outlined here in red here, trying to again fine tune that area that's probably pushing that 3 to 4, and maybe we get a 4 to 5 inch band somewhere right in this little red square. Again, maybe pulling it down out of Richmond, maybe closer to Petersburg, kind of gives you an idea. We are backing off. We're decreasing the ice potential. This is, not really an ice type of an event. So, don't worry about the freezing rain with this. Even down in North Carolina, it might end. What happens is, as the system pulls out, basically dry air comes in and the system stops producing snow, but you still get some light precipitation. And as that light precipitation falls, it could briefly, transition to like a freezing mist or a freezing drizzle, and then end. So, you might see a brief moment there, a short window of maybe some light freezing drizzle, but we're not really expecting any appreciable ice accumulation. So that's really not going to be an issue. As far as timing is concerned, I know that's a big broad band right there, but getting into the western parts of our area out towards Farmville, maybe around 7 o'clock or so, maybe even 6 or 7, you start to see some light snow falling. For most of the area, it's coming in between 7 and 10. And I think, around 7-ish, let's say, you see some light snow falling, and then all of a sudden after about 9 or 10 o'clock, now you start getting into higher bursts of snow, but could be some light snow falling, by around 7 p.m. So hopefully, I think any impacts are after the evening commute. The snow rates really don't pick up until quite a bit later. And what I'll do is I have some model simulated radar here, so kind of give you an idea of when this is coming in. So you can kind of see snow starting to move in from the west. This is Friday at 1 o'clock, but we're good. 2 o'clock, getting into 4 o'clock here, we're still okay. You start to see about 7 p.m. Snow line is probably sitting here west of Richmond, between Richmond and Roanoke, some light snow starting to fall, but nothing too heavy. Now, all of a sudden, about 10 o'clock, you are starting to see some higher rates, some of the brighter blues starting to push in here, south and west of Richmond, maybe starting to reach the I-95. Starting to see some deeper blues here over parts of Hampton Roads. And then by the time you get to 1 a.m., you really start to see these brighter blues. So this is where we're probably getting some heavier snow rates. And again, you can kind of see those brighter blues from maybe around Norfolk to right up, towards Richmond. So this is where we think we're going to see maybe some of the higher snow rates at about this time, about 1 in the morning. Here we are at 4 in the morning. Again, you see Norfolk still in the blue. Emporia may be getting into a little bit of snow mixing with a little bit of sleet. We'll see. But then again, you got this blue band here between Richmond and Norfolk and out towards the peninsulas and a little bit of the Eastern Shore. Even up in here to Maryland, you got some pretty good rates going on here at 4 a.m. So this is when, but I'd say between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., that's when we're going to see some of the heavier rates, maybe about an inch an hour. Could be getting up to 1.5 inches an hour at times when this system comes through. So again, the bulk of the snow is going to be in that window from 11 p.m. until, let's say, around 5 to maybe 6 a.m. And not much beyond that. 7 a.m., you're really starting to see this thing starting to maybe kind of wrap up. The system's pulling out. Maybe it changes over to a little bit of that freezing drizzle, maybe even some rain, see some rain sneaking into northeast North Carolina. But, Richmond out across Williamsburg, even up towards the Eastern Shore, still showing, it ending as snow. So the snow kind of hangs on there. And then by 10 a.m., this thing's pretty much done. She's pulling, I'll zoom out a little bit, system's pulling off the coast and it's over. So kind of gives you an idea of the timing of it. As far as snow character, it's going to start out as a dry snow, really just about everywhere. And it's eventually going to become a little bit of a wetter snow, especially I'd say, from Emporia up to Williamsburg and south and east, and what's going to happen is it's cold and early on dry, powdery type snow there, especially by, let's say, about, 10, 11 o'clock. But sometime during the early morning hours, as the system gets closer to us, the temperatures are going to warm up a little bit aloft. And so the snow is going to go from that fine, dry stuff to probably some bigger, more wet flakes. And I'd say that's probably going to be somewhere around, let's say, 1 to 5 in the morning. That's when we're going to probably see that transition where things will snow get a little bit wetter, maybe a teeny bit stickier, especially over southeast Virginia as the snow transitions. So just looking at the timing of it, I'm not going to go through every single city, but you can see overall the bulk of it really comes in, after 9 o'clock. Snow rates pick up, basically after about 11 p.m. And really the snow lasts until about, I'd say about 8 or 9 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock, things are really tapering off. Just want to highlight the temperatures across the region. These are the actual air temperatures every 3 hours. So you notice for most of the event, by the time you get to 9 o'clock at night, just about everybody's pretty well below freezing, and most temperatures are in the I'd say upper 20s to around 30 overnight. So really cold. We do see some sun start to peak out in the afternoon on Saturday, so that might allow us to get up into the upper 30s to around 40 Saturday afternoon. So when the system pulls out, skies will clear out pretty quick with this. So that's good news. So they give us a little bit of melting. I mean, not a lot, but a little bit of melting there Saturday afternoon. The only bad news for that is these are your daily temperatures. So Sunday morning right here, your low temperatures Sunday morning are pretty much in the teens and 20s. So bottom line there is after Saturday, snow falls. Maybe it melts a teeny bit, not much, before the sun sets, but everything's going to refreeze Sunday morning. When you get into Sunday, high temperatures, maybe we get into the mid 30s, mid to upper 30s is probably the best we're going to do. And then if you look at Monday morning for that commute, Monday morning, temperatures back in the teens and 20s. So bottom line is you look at these overnight lows. And so, whoever does see snow, going to be a lot of melting and refreezing for a while. Other thing I'll highlight is you notice that the high temperatures here drop again. So Tuesday temperatures are cooler than Monday, and Wednesday, these are the high temperatures on Wednesday. So the highs are only in the low to mid 30s. So another Arctic blast is coming basically Monday night into Tuesday, and that's going to reinforce the cold air. It is dry. It's a dry Arctic front, other than maybe a flurry or two. We're not expecting any snow with that, but if you look at these temperatures for Wednesday and Thursday, I mean, highs in the 30s and lows well into the teens. So again, cold air is coming. It's going to get reinforced, and it's going to be here for a while. The next chance of precipitation, across the region really is not until, and it's beyond the forecast here, it really doesn't look like it's until late next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. And right now, I think that's looking like rain. It's not looking like snow. So we got a break in the precipitation for a while, and I'm not going to say this is our last snowstorm. I'm not going to wood. I'm not going to jinx this, but we're good for a while after this. And I'm going to shift gears and let Harry talk about the marine side of the house.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Harry Thomas. I'm a meteorologist here with Wakefield. So we have gales up right now for the bay and for the oceans and small crafts for the rivers for the rest of this afternoon and into the evening. Those conditions are going to continue to die down after the gales have ended. Later on tonight, small crafts will most likely be needed to replace them. The good news is with this system, we're not expecting any gales across our waters with this low pressure system that's bringing us the chance of snow showers across our area. Looking at next 72 hours, peak winds could be up into the lower 40s. 40 knots for our peak winds across our oceans, and for the bay, your peak winds could be in the middle 30s, 35. Seas are still going to be between 5 feet in the bay, 5 to 7 across the northern waters. As you go further south, possible 7 to 10 foot waves down closer towards border of North Carolina and Virginia. And again, the gale warnings are just in effect for the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic coastal waters, and small craft advisories are likely needed Saturday afternoon into the Sunday as the low pressure moves offshore. Looking at the threat for today, again, we're going to continue with those gales through today, but then small crafts are likely needed through the rest of the week and into the weekend, as we're just going to continue to see the reinforced cold front and reinforced cold air moving into the area, moving across the waters. But again, those will most likely be small crafts, no gales as of right now after today. And again, looking at through the week, we're going to have those winds die down to small craft conditions. And then we could see a break Sunday into Monday with winds dying down below small craft conditions. But then Monday through Wednesday, like Jeff was saying, with that reinforced Arctic air, we could see the potential for small crafts again by early next week. Seas do begin to drop throughout the week, Thursday through Friday, and they'll continue to be sustained between 3 to 4 feet across the water Saturday through Monday, but then picking back up again when we're seeing that reinforced cold air, bringing in the winds, and waves will begin to increase. Again, we still have the freezing spray potential, just limited freezing spray across our northern waters and across the northern parts of the bay, with water temperatures going down into the lower 40s, as well as with gusts upwards of 30 to 40 knots, and as well with those gales continuing to blow. And then luckily those freezing spray potential does decrease through the weekend. We do have some blowout with northwesterly wind. The increasing potential for the period of blowout tides are going to produce some low water. You can see at Luisetta, we are expecting the tide to drop below 1 foot, and then that'll continue throughout the next couple of tide periods. The area of greater concern remains in the middle and upper Chesapeake Bay. Low water conditions are likely through today and through Friday. As well as we'll see some other areas. Again, Smithfield could go down as well, and as well as the James River. And again, the area of greatest concern remains in the eastern Virginia rivers through the middle and upper Chesapeake Bay, and low water advisories have been issued again for today. That is everything I have on the marine side. I'm going to let Jeff finish it up here. Thank you.